Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Brian. Welcome back to the Hall of Gains. Today's video, we're going to be analyzing Deku's training program that All Might made for him from the series My Hero Academia. Now, last week I did this on Black Clover for Asta's training. This week I'm doing it for Deku's training. Gonna look at it, see what's optimal, see what else he could have done to make it better, and just overall just analyze it. Because, you know, I am a National Academy of Sports Medicine certified personal trainer and nutrition coach. So I want to go over it and kind of just figure out, you know, or let you guys know if it was good or not. So basically, I do want to get out this. I have this study on my phone, and that's why I have the phone in my hand. There's this common misconception, and I know that this is a lot from My Hero Academia fans, and that is that kids, like little kids, early teenagers, they can't lift weights. It's not good for them, stuff like that. Because I brought up points in the past that, and this is a lot of people too, is that Deku never trained until he found out he's going to get a quirk. People said, oh, well, he's only 14 years old. He can't do that. He's just a kid. That's not an argument. There are over 6 studies, at least in my textbook, through the National Academy of Sports Medicine, that show that training for adolescents or children, so adolescents is between the ages 10 and 19, children is below the age of 10, that resistance training is not only safe, but effective for them. So I'm going to go over some of the benefits and just the results from these studies to prove that Deku, not only training at 14 was just fine for him, but he could have started much earlier and probably should have, based on just his narrative. So basically, resistance training for health and fitness conditioning in youth results in a lower risk of injury when participating in sports. So if you have a young kid or an adolescent lift weights, do resistance training and cardio, when they go to their sport, basketball, football, whatever, they are going to be less likely to get hurt because resistance training is good for you. It's good for your muscles, your tendons, your bones, when done right. The interesting thing here is there are injuries associated with resistance training in adults, or not adults, adolescents and children. It is usually because of improper supervision, improper technique, and just improper programming, where you start a kid with, oh, lift heavy weights on your first week of lifting weights. They don't have good posture when they're doing it. They don't have good technique, and maybe nobody's even watching them and they get hurt. But if you have a controlled environment where there's somebody supervising them, where they're doing proper form, they have proper posture, and they're proper programming, they're going to be just fine. In fact, in every single one of these studies where they had proper programming, supervision, proper technique, proper posture, there was not a single injury among any children in any of these studies. And another interesting is that in the sports, football, basketball, baseball, and many other sports, there is a higher injury rate than kids doing resistance training. So, you know, kids lifting weights is actually safer, according to this study, than football, basketball, and baseball, and many other sports that are very, very popular. Strength of an adolescent or child, they can increase their strength 30 to 40% in just 8 weeks of training. They can increase muscle mass, bone density, and can help with posture over a long course of life. So I'm going to basically put down these 6 studies in the description. I will reference them, and also I will try and link them if possible, if they are online. But then this gets just into the analysis of Deku's training. Was it good? Was it optimal? What could have been different? So first off, I have to applaud All Might here, because he actually gave him a program with different phases, which is periodization training, where you do different types of training for different phases. So I got to applaud All Might for that. Remember, Asta didn't have that. Asta just went on his own. So this is already an improvement from Asta's training into Deku's. Deku had a meal plan and designated also time of how much he needed to sleep, which is really good too for, you know, programming. Sleep is incredibly important for getting in shape. Food, proper amount of calories, fats, carbohydrates, micronutrients, and very importantly, protein is going to be needed in a diet. And so we do know that Deku did eat a lot. He basically had his mom make him a giant meal, and he wanted seconds. And so we know he was working out a lot. That's good. Now, when it comes to training, we know he did functional strength training, which is like I talked about in the past, which is you're working out in a way that's going to help you in everyday life and everyday activities. Lifting weights, yeah, it'll help a bit, but when you do functional strength, it's going to help you with like picking things up off the ground, picking up heavy objects, moving them from a desk to desk, picking up heavy things out of a truck and moving it, lifting up a dresser and moving it. That's what functional strength is going to help you with. Everyday activities, which is good for fighting. Functional strength is important for fighting or wrestling. Now, so is resistance training, which is good because Deku also has resistance training in this program, as we see him doing multiple bicep curls at multiple times and doing the barbell bench press. So he has functional strength training, he has resistance training, and he has cardio. Now we would assume he has different levels of this resistance training because there are 3 different phases as shown in All Might. There's phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So we'd hope it'd be something like stabilization training for phase 1, endurance for phase 2, and then either strength or hypertrophy training for phase 3. I'd say that hypertrophy was very likely one of those phases because Deku gained a lot of muscle in those 10 months. You can see a huge difference. But then again, he's 14, he would have newbie gains, so you wouldn't necessarily need to have to do hypertrophy training, which is hypertrophy is phase 3. That's when you put on muscle. He doesn't have to do it because he'd get newbie gains from basically doing any sort of lifting. He would gain muscle. Now, when it came to functional strength, he was doing stuff like pulling stuff through sand, like heavy objects like cleaning the beach. And we also know that he had a 2-day rest period for every day he worked out. So if he worked out one day, let's say on Monday, he'd take Tuesday and Wednesday off and work out Thursday. And he had 5-hour workout sessions, which I'm just going to go, that is pretty much too much, especially for a child, a teenager. That's what he states. He works out for 5 hours. That's his normal workout training. He also cleans the beach every single day, which would involve a lot of just burning calories because you'd be walking around a lot, moving stuff. But add even more, there'd be functional strength training, functional endurance training, overall endurance training. And that's where we're getting to overtraining for Deku here. It really wasn't a great program. And this is shown in the show, in the manga, because Deku ran out of energy. All Might needed to alter the program because Deku, basically, he was sacrificing his sleep and working out too hard, and that came to the point where he just went through the exhaustion stage. And the exhaustion stage of different alert levels of your body is not good for you. It leads to overall more injuries and stress. So Deku got to that stage, which shows that All Might's training program was not great for Deku. And I think the reason here is that he was doing 2 to 3 5-hour exercises a day of resistance training, and then every day he was cleaning the beach, which would be incredibly hard work. And based off all of that, it probably was, Deku was burning a lot of calories. Sure, he probably had to put on some weight, but it's just not efficient to lift weights for 5 hours 2 to 3 days a week, and then every single day you're doing cardio and then moving heavy objects on the beach. So what I would do if I were All Might to give this program for Deku is he wouldn't be doing that on the beach every single day. Basically, you'd have it so that at the very most, every day he did his resistance training and cardio, he wouldn't have to clean up the beach, so that he would at least have time to rest during the day. Ideally, you might want to have it so the day after or the day before resistance training, he doesn't have it as well. So you'd have maybe 2 times, maybe if his workout was on Monday, he wouldn't clean the beach Monday, he wouldn't clean the beach Tuesday, but he would Wednesday, and then he would Thursday, and then he'd lift weights on Friday and wouldn't clean the beach, and then he wouldn't clean the beach the next day. He needs more rest. He's a kid, he's a teenager, he's a noob, he needs more rest. And it's just too much, because he's trying to pull a refrigerator through the sand with All Might sitting on top of it, who weighs over 500 pounds. The garbage is heavy, he's pushing trucks, he's running with tires on his back. So yes, Deku from All Might training was overtrained, so it is not an efficient program. Also, we don't really see much for legs when it comes to resistance training. We only see the upper body. So while that might be in it, we didn't see it, so we can't really assume it. So I would add a bunch of leg day training, and I would add a bunch of power exercises we don't really see any power exercises from Deku in the training. So power is lifting something at basically doing a really fast rate of force production. So you just rep it, do one singular rep as fast as possible for each rep. So you just fast, fast, fast. That's what power is. There's a difference between power and strength. And power is very important when it comes to things like fighting. Your punch, there's a lot of power behind it. Your kicks, there's a lot of power behind it. Your explosiveness when you move, that's power. So if Deku wanted to be able to use this quirk one for all better, he would need to do more power training. So he could do something like when he does his bench press, he goes down somewhat kind of slow and then explodes up as fast as possible. And a controlled way. You don't want to go so fast you can't control it. You want to go fast enough where you can control it. Then you can do something like with a medicine ball or any other weights. You can maybe use tire, like any of the trash. And you could basically throw something on the ground as fast as possible, throw it to the side as fast as possible. There's a bunch of different power exercises you can do, but we don't see really Deku doing much at all. It's a lot of muscular endurance and potentially hypertrophy, functional training. And so Deku's training, like I said, it's not optimal, and that's why they need to change it. But it doesn't say in the show how he changed it. In the manga and the anime, it just says, okay, I'll alter the program for you, Deku. Then what happens is it just skips forward to when he's done. So the last 4 months of the training, we don't even get to see how the program is changed. So Deku, I'll have to say he's overtrained. I already said how to change it. Less garbage pickup, more power training, more rest periods. And Deku does say that you need to rest 2 days for each time you lift weights. That's only per body part necessarily. And it really, you could just wait 1 day off. Like I do my leg day on Tuesday and Thursday. I only take 1 day off in between. You don't necessarily always need 2 days. And so, especially if he's only doing upper body, if he does upper body, he can do legs the next day. You don't need to wait 2 days to do upper body, then legs like 3 days later. You just don't need to do that. So some of the stuff, we don't necessarily know how Deku did the workout, but from what we know, it was not an optimal training program, and the show just proved that because All Might had to change it. But with that being said, that's pretty much for the video. How I change it: add power, less garbage days, a bit more rest, and a bit less rest in terms of you don't have to wait 2 days. It just 2 days for a body part, or maybe 1 day off, depending. But more sleep. Don't sacrifice sleep for training, and don't exercise. Don't lift weights for 5 hours a day. I mean, Deku's not on steroids. But that being said, hope you guys did enjoy this video. Let me know your thoughts down below on this video. Let me know other training videos you want me to do to analyze training. I got recommendations to do Zoro's training, which I don't think I've seen. I got recommendations to do Dragon Ball's gravity training, how that would work in real life. So let me know your thoughts down below. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hope you guys all have an amazing day. Ooh, my elbows popped. Peace out.